Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into Apple's image.
Oh.
This carefully built picture of them being the ultimate guardian of your privacy.
Right. And you probably remember that huge standoff they had with the FBI back in 2016.
Oh, yeah, the San Bernardino case. They flat out refused to unlock that iPhone. It was big news.
Exactly. And it really cemented this persona, this kind of digital St. George idea.
A total masterstroke in public perception, really. But, well, what if that shiny image isn't the whole story? What if it's more complex?
That's precisely the paradox we want to unpack today. We've been looking at, well, leaked documents, various court records, even Apple's own transparency reports.
Okay. And what are they suggesting?
They seem to reveal what looks like a kind of corporate double standard,
Double standard. So contradictions.
Yeah, inherent contradictions maybe
Right.
between the public face and the private actions. Our mission here is to sort of explore that and what it means for how you think about your digital sanctity.
Okay, let's get into the timeline then, because things get really interesting when you look before San Bernardino. The Snowden leaks in 2013, that was huge.
Absolutely seismic.
What did those documents actually show about Apple?
Yeah.
Specifically with things like the NSA's PRISM program, what data were they handing over?
Well, the Snowden files were actually pretty clear. They listed Apple as a PRISM partner going back to 2012. That's quite a while before their big public privacy fight.
2012, so they were in early.
Seems like it. And this meant providing access to, well, a lot of user data. We're talking emails, photos, videos, stuff in the cloud.
Wow.
The key thing here is just how involved Apple apparently was with government surveillance before they made privacy such a public cornerstone. It shows a real gap, potentially, between those private actions and the public image they were starting to build.
So building the privacy brand, but already deeply involved behind the scenes. Okay. Then 2016 happens. San Bernardino. The world is watching. Apple publicly fights the FBI demand. They didn't want to create this GovTOS, right? A custom operating system to bypass the security on that one phone.
Yeah, their argument was it would create a dangerous backdoor.
A backdoor for everyone, potentially compromising millions of users. That was the line.
And look, their technical points about the danger of a backdoor were valid, but it raises a really critical question, doesn't it?
Which is?
Why fight so hard over that one specific iPhone? Especially when, if you look at Apple's own transparency reports over the years, they show compliance with thousands of other government data requests.
That's a fair point. So was the public refusal also strategic?
You have to consider it. It was also a very shrewd business decision, wasn't it? It massively reinforced their brand, appealed directly to customers worried about privacy. It almost, reframes that whole San Bernardino narrative a bit.
And this pattern, it seems, it didn't just stop there. What about iCloud backups?
Ah, yes, iCloud. For years, Apple stored these backups, and they're just packed with personal data, right?
A gold mine, you could say.
Absolutely. And Apple routinely gave law enforcement access to these backups. Often, the user wouldn't even know. We saw cases, like one in 2019, where iCloud data Apple provided led directly to an arrest. Child pornography case, I believe.
Okay, so cooperation was happening there too.
Seems so. And then more recently, remember in 2021, Apple announced plans to scan users' actual iPhones for child sexual abuse material, CSAM.
Right, that caused a huge uproar. Major privacy concerns globally.
Massive outcry. They did end up delaying the rollout because of it, but
Right.
well, it definitely showed a willingness, perhaps, to compromise on those privacy principles when pressured.
So pulling it all together, what does this mean for you, the listener? We've kind of pulled back the curtain on Apple's story.
Yeah, revealing this, well, longer pattern maybe. Cooperation with surveillance, PRISM, iCloud backups, happening even while they fought that very public battle with the FBI.
It really highlights the power of branding, doesn't it? And just how complicated privacy is in this digital age.
Absolutely. It really challenges you, I think, to look past the marketing, past the carefully crafted image, and try to understand the actions underneath.
Which brings us to maybe the most important question for you listening.
If a company that is so strongly linked with privacy, like Apple, has these documented contradictions, what does that actually imply for your own digital liberties? How secure do you feel?
Well, it's definitely something crucial to think about, as you use these devices every day. How much trust do you place in the tech giants we rely on? Something to mull over.